Hi, I've recently been running through the Final Destination movies in preparation for presumably at some point seeing the revival of the series Final Destination Bloodlines. Having watched the first film in 2000 when it was released, I rewatched it and quite enjoyed it, and then sat down to watch Final Destination 2, having been convinced that I'd seen it before, and it turns out that I hadn't because I remembered almost none of it. It follows the same concept of the first film that someone has a premonition of an impending, appalling accident with many people being horribly killed and is able to avert it, or at least avert the participation of various people. But death does not take well to its plans being undermined. And so a series of bizarre freak accidents starts picking off the survivors in the order that they would have died, leaving the surviving characters to try and find a way out of the situation. Here, the catastrophe is a massive pile-up on a highway caused by logs falling from a logging truck. The various deaths involved, including the bisection of a motorcyclist and the pulping of the head of a police officer. The difference between this and the first movie is that in the first film it was high school students with one teacher. Here, almost all the main cast, are adults, so it changes the tone somewhat. And the addition of further ideas of how to develop the concept of the idea of a life for a life, that someone has to take the place of people who die, and that if you die and then are brought back, then that fulfills the plan. That I think works very well. There are some great death sequences. There is a strong appropriate tone all the way through, and what I particularly liked is that it's funny. It has an understanding that the concept is inherently ludicrous, but it doesn't play it as a spoof. It plays it up for ghoulish humour and taking opportunities within the dramatic context of making jokes. The film actually, this is a spoiler, but the film is over 20 years old. The film actually ends on an upbeat note that the main characters, or the surviving main characters, have managed to successfully avoid death's plan for them and substitute themselves in other ways. But it still ends on a hilarious joke that is a deliciously evil laugh, which still gives the characters a happy ending. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a far superior film to the first. It developed the concept very well. It had some very good set pieces. I thought it was very good. As the series progresses, perhaps my idea will change. My feelings about this film and the series will change. But it shows that the basic concept, which was reused from an unused X Files script by Jeffrey Reddick, who originates the series, is very strong. I'm intrigued to see how flexible it is. But Final Destination 2 is certainly very enjoyable.